My name is Amanda, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married for 2 years to my husband, Tom. We met in university, and now he works in a corporate job. After graduating, I decided not to get a traditional job. Instead, I make a living by investing in stocks and trading foreign currencies. Even though I do well with this, my parents often tell me to get a real job. Tom understands my lifestyle the best and always supports me. We've been together since our university days, and he has always been the one I can share my true feelings with, especially because he isn't great at socializing either. I have parents and a younger sister, but they don't really get me and think I'm the odd one out. Because of this, we don't see each other as often as we used to. Tom's family includes his parents and his older brother, Jeff. When we visited Tom's family to announce our marriage, they asked many questions about my job. Tom always stood up for me, saying, "Amanda is doing what she loves, and that's all that matters." Jeff, in particular, kept asking about my job. Annoyed, I told him I was a part-timer. Jeff arrogantly laughed and said, "You should have just said that. Lots of college graduates can't find stable jobs these days." Jeff's attitude was irritating, but I didn't let it bother me because I wasn't marrying him. Even though Tom kept apologizing, having him by my side was what mattered most to me. Jeff, who constantly belittles me, is an associate professor at a university. I feel sorry for his students. Jeff is now getting married, and Tom and I have been invited to the wedding. The bride is the daughter of the university president where Jeff works. There were many guests invited to the wedding. Marrying the president's daughter certainly secures Jeff's future. When Jeff saw me at the wedding, he started mocking me again. "It's embarrassing to have a part-timer as a sister-in-law," he said. I didn't understand what he meant until I checked the wedding directory and saw that my name was the only one left blank. Tom was about to confront Jeff, but I told him not to worry about it because I didn't care about such things. "I don't mind, so don't start a fight over it," I said. Jeff smirked and said, "That's right, a part-timer should keep a low profile. Don't ruin this celebration." He even told us not to serve drinks to the guests because it would be troublesome if they asked about my job. "Just sit quietly," he said triumphantly, leaving us behind. Tom was still furious. "I'm sorry, my brother has been incredibly rude." Me husband Tom apologized with near tears in his eyes, feeling guilty. I unexpectedly found myself apologizing too. I should be the one saying sorry. "I didn't mean for you to be upset because of me," I said. Seeing me apologize, Tom finally managed to smile. At the wedding that day, neither of us felt like celebrating Jeff and his wife. As Jeff had suggested, we decided to simply enjoy the delicious food. The food was extravagant, just as you'd expect from the wedding of the university president's daughter, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. The gifts were heavy, raising our expectations of something luxurious. But when we opened the box at home, we were stunned. Inside was a bowl with a portrait of Jeff and his wife. Even Tom, as the younger brother, was exasperated. He sighed and said, "This is the last thing we need. I don't want to see my brother's face, but we can't just throw it away, and it's not something we can use." But I thought of a way to use it immediately. "It's the perfect size and depth for a cat's dish. Can we use it for the cat's food? Would that be disrespectful to your brother?" Tom laughed and replied, "It's perfect for the cat's food. The idea of my brother and his wife being licked by the cat every day is refreshing." With Tom's approval, the gift bowl became our cat's dish from then on. A month later, I had to visit the university where Jeff worked. I hated the idea of running into Jeff, but I figured I'd be safe since the campus was large and I had to visit a different department. However, I bumped into Jeff right away. Seeing me, Jeff looked surprised. I quickly averted my eyes and pretended not to see him, but Jeff approached me and started shouting, "Why the hell are you here? I'm calling the police for trespassing." Jeff's loud voice drew a crowd of students. In front of them, he began mocking me. "What's a deadbeat like you doing here? Did you come to eat cheap lunch at the cafeteria?" Being shy, I fell silent, which seemed to amuse Jeff even more. He started telling the surrounding students, "This woman is a part-timer even after graduating from college. If you don't study hard, you'll end up like this." I could see the students giggling, and I felt like crying. Then a voice interrupted Jeff's rant from behind. Turning towards the voice, I saw a familiar professor and felt relieved. "What on earth is happening?" "She's my invited guest," the professor said. Jeff was momentarily taken aback but quickly retorted, "Isn't there some kind of mistake? This girl is just a part-timer." Another professor who arrived late and knew me corrected Jeff. "She is not a part-timer. She's a research collaborator in the economics department. Regardless of what the other professor said, Jeff seemed unconvinced. Ever since marrying the president's daughter, he's been condescending even to the older professors. The professor who invited me, thinking it was pointless to argue with Jeff, took my hand and led me away from the scene. As I left, the students also dispersed, but Jeff didn't seem amused. He followed me, barging into the room I had been led into. Despite the presence of many senior professors in the room, Jeff continued to ridicule me. "What's this about? She's a part-timer, right? Dumb walking girl, don't wander around the university." Upon hearing his offensive words, the senior professors in the room began to shudder. In a panic, one of the senior professors ushered Jeff out of the room, but I could hear him whispering to Tom, "Your career is over, Jeff." Jeff didn't seem to care about what was said. After all, with the president in his corner, he had no fear. But at some point, the president had entered the room I was in. The president immediately apologized to me. "I am deeply sorry our associate professor has spoken out of line. Allow me to apologize on his behalf," the president said. The other professors also apologized to me. I responded that I didn't mind, though in reality, I was filled with rage, almost to my breaking point. However, I displayed mature composure. I had not planned to meet with the president that day, but he seemed to have come unexpectedly. I was conducting research with the professors of the economics department at this university on financial engineering. When I say research, I mean verifying whether or not the theory I use in my stock and forex investment operations is correct. Since my university days, I've been conducting financial transactions based on my unique theory. I've been exchanging opinions with a professor I met on social media. As the professor noticed my good investment performance, he began to verify it with me, and I started to be invited to the university as a research collaborator. The university had repeatedly suggested I work as a lecturer, but as I'm not comfortable speaking in front of others, the idea was impossible for me. Since participating in the research also benefits me, I visit the university a few times a month to confirm the results. I didn't realize it was the same university where Jeff works until he got married. When I looked at the guest list at the wedding and recognized the name, it turned out that the president of this university was the bride's father. Although there were other university-related guests, it seemed that no one noticed me. My name had been removed from the list, and I had been told not to serve drinks, so I never left my seat. With a wedding of such scale, no one was expected to notice someone as unremarkable as me. The reason the president and professors were in a panic is because I'm a major donor to this university. Ever since I started conducting research with the university, my investment performance has improved significantly, and I have been donating a substantial amount of money each year. In addition, the theories I'm researching are also being provided to hedge funds and investors abroad, which seems to be bringing in a considerable amount of donations as well. As a private university, donations and sponsorship funds are crucial to the institution, which is earning a considerable amount of money from the research I am involved in. Upsetting me would be a serious problem. If I got angry because of my brother-in-law Jeff's rude remarks, withdrew from the research, and even ceased donations, it would greatly affect the university's operations. That day, the situation no longer allowed for discussing investment theory. The president and the other professors just kept apologizing to me, so nothing was settled. As I was leaving, I spoke to the president. "Your associate professor earlier is my brother-in-law Jeff. Did you know that?" At these words, the president and the professors were surprised. It was clear no one had noticed it before. I also tried to share my honest feelings. Jeff always makes fun of me, but I think his attitude is questionable as an educator. I must have been pretty angry at that time. In front of about 10 people, including the president, I spoke quite passionately, something I couldn't normally do due to nerves. Looking back on it, I feel embarrassed, but I was impressed with myself for doing something unexpected when my anger built up too much. After I left, it seems my brother-in-law Jeff's attitude became an issue within the university. He had been criticized for his arrogant behavior towards his superiors even after marrying the president's daughter, and his reputation among students was quite bad. The fact that he became an associate professor in the first place seemed to be a special case because he was dating the president's daughter, and criticism was directed at the president as well. The president had been defending his son-in-law Jeff for the sake of his beloved daughter, but he was in trouble if his position as president was taken away, as he also received criticism. Jeff, not thinking that the president, his biggest backer, was criticizing him too, became more and more arrogant. Jeff, who didn't know about this, made fun of me as usual when I showed up at the university again. Back again. Just because you're friendly with the economics professors doesn't mean you can get cocky, Jeff sneered. Hearing such rude words from an associate professor made me think this university was going downhill. The president had allowed such a man to act arrogantly without scolding him. I started to consider stopping the joint research with this university. I didn't like being made fun of every time I came to the university. It felt like a waste of time. Lost in thought, I barely registered Jeff's rant until he shouted, "Hey, are you even listening? Are you so stupid you can't even listen to other people's stories?" Suddenly, a louder voice resonated. "Jeff, you are the fool." The president had appeared, and even my overbearing brother-in-law became still as a statue. Seeing him like that, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Jeff glared at me but was quickly silenced by the president's harsh words. "After today, you're no longer part of this university. Pack up and get out immediately." Jeff looked blankly at the president, then casually said, "Father-in-law, what's going on? Are you trying to surprise me?" The president, his face red with rage, yelled again, "You have no right to call me your father-in-law. I want you to divorce my daughter as well." Just then, a young woman and a man in a suit appeared. I recognized the woman as Jeff's wife. She spoke sternly. "I suspected you were acting strange, so I had a lawyer investigate and they managed to get these photos." The man in the suit pulled out several photos showing Jeff arm in arm with a woman I didn't recognize. Jeff's wife continued, "That's divorce, just as Dad said. After all, you were just using him, weren't you? You never loved me." Jeff began to apologize. "I won't cheat on you again. Please forgive me." Watching Jeff panic was quite enjoyable. Jeff turned his frustration on me. "What are you looking at? You're just a part-timer. It's none of your business. Get out of here." The president spoke on my behalf. "You always yell part-timer at Amanda, but she's a skilled investor. She's doing joint research with our economics department and gives generous donations. She's much more valuable than you will ever be." Finally, Jeff seemed to believe the president's words and reluctantly apologized to me. The president must have orchestrated this whole event to make Jeff apologize to me. Seeing Jeff apologize while looking down in despair felt quite refreshing. The lawyer explained the demand for property division as I bid farewell to the president and left. When I got home, I told Tom about Jeff's apology and affair. Tom, aware of my distaste for Jeff, was genuinely happy. "Damn, I wish I could have seen him in that state," he said. "Why didn't you take a picture?" We burst out laughing. I had another piece of good news to share with Tom. "Guess what? It seems I'm pregnant." Hearing this, Tom was ecstatic. I had suspected as much after feeling unwell and confirmed it at the OB/GYN on my way home from the university. I felt a bit guilty for the president, Bob, who had orchestrated Jeff's apology. I decided to put my cooperation with the university on hold. Bob seemed disappointed but said he'd wait until I'd finished with child rearing. Later, I casually asked Bob about Jeff. He informed me that Jeff, who had officially divorced, was now unemployed and struggling to find a new job. Jeff's arrogance was well known, and no offers were coming in. Ultimately, Jeff's arrogance had boomeranged back on him. Suddenly, I realized that the photos of the cheap gifts we used as cat dishes had disappeared. Whether it was because we had used the cheap gifts or because they had divorced, the couple's photos had vanished as well.